Thank you, Mr. Galloway. Thank you for taking my call, and I'd like to agree with you and give a real big shout-out to Ife, who is running the board. And
she's
also,
magnificent, absolutely magnificent.
Spirit. And I thank her, for what she does. I listen to the hip-hop takeover, and it from my perspective and where I'm living and who I am, it does something to say that you're recognized with humanity.
Outstanding. She's outstanding. And what a voice she's got. Oh, it's like black velvet to me, man. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm a married man. I'm not going to go any further.
She's probably a married woman, so I better be careful. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, from my perspective, because one of the things I do enjoy about this show, it is international. It has an international flavor.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw in my perspective into the debate and into the thinking of the internationalists who listen to this show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a regular black guy living in Queens, New York, born and raised here in America, and my perspective is such. I'm not saying it's authoritarian. I'm not saying my perspective is the only perspective, but I'm just a dude from the hood who does listen to WBAI and does listen and enjoy this show. I want to just give my perspective with respect to the Israel debate.
Yeah.
Now, I'm supposed to know about the pain of my Jewish New York counterparts. Anytime any event happens in the news or things happen on the world stage that concerns Israel, my Jewish counterparts here in New York expect me to know and understand and agree with their pain. They're human beings like I'm human. I can listen to them, but anytime I disagree, immediately I'm branded as an anti-Semite. I'm supposed to have my own perspective. I'm supposed to have my own way of thinking. Now, if, for example, something happens in the black community and I go to my same Jewish counterparts and I ask them to feel my pain, they take it on a personal level, that you or your people, not as a community. And I'd like to say to them, I understand, just from my limited education and my limited perspective, I understand there's a difference between the religion of Judaism, which I have looked in the books and I've studied somewhat, perused in the religion of Judaism, as opposed to the government of Israel. I know there's a difference and a separation. However, when these type of debates come up, it's as though Jewish New Yorkers who may or may not be religious, I don't know, but they take it as a personal affront to the entire religion when you disagree with the policies of a state actor. And I think that that's wrong because they're trying to confuse me. I know the difference between a Jewish person and a Jewish state that may or may not follow the tenets of the religion. And I
listen, brother. If everybody in your hood is as eloquent and informed as you, we're a lot further on than I thought we were. That was a magnificent tour de horizon of this subject, which I was listening to on Amy Goodman just before I came on the air. First of all, you correctly made the dichotomy between the Jewish religion and support for the state of Israel and what it does and what it has done. There are many Jews listening to this in New York. Some of them are personal friends of mine who are not only Jews, but are rabbis. They're rabbis and they look like rabbis. They couldn't look, act, and be more Jewish. But they're absolutely opposed to the state of Israel and what it does. And some of them have phoned in. Maybe one of them will do so in the next 30 minutes or so. The dichotomy is clear and absolute. Neither I nor you, nor the vast majority of the people who take a different view to Commentary magazine about Israel have any enmity against Jews whatsoever. How could we? Because to have enmity against Jews would be racism, would be sectarianism. How can people like us, you a black man, me a fighter against racism and sectarianism all my life, possibly be anti-Semitic? Some of the greatest humans who ever lived were Jews. Marx, his titanic majesty, was a Jew. Einstein was a Jew. Epstein was a Jew. Bernstein was a Jew. Bob Dylan is a Jew. It's absurd to suggest that we are against Jews or Judaism. What we're against is a political state. We wish for the destruction of that political state. If you wished, as Ronald Reagan did, for the destruction of the Soviet Union, it was not because he hated the Russian people or wished their destruction. He wished the destruction of the political system called communism. I wish for the destruction of the political system called Zionism, because I believe that it's bad for the Palestinians, who are its principal victims, and it's bad for the Jews. It's bad for the Jews because it rests on the truly anti-Semitic premise that an American Jew is not an American, that a British Jew is not British, but is somehow foreign, who has to go and live, ought to go and live, is endlessly exhorted to go and live in somebody else's country in the Middle East. You couldn't get more anti-Semitic than that. That's why when Israel was effectively given the green light by the British Empire in the Balfour Declaration, the only Jew in the cabinet, Mr. Montague, opposed the Balfour Declaration. He opposed the creation of a so-called Jewish state in Palestine because he said it would mean that everyone would look at British Jews henceforth as people with dual loyalty, two countries, and they were always on the brink of leaving Britain and going to live in Palestine. So I'm totally against Zionism. Which I believe to be a racist ideology. And I'm totally against the state of Israel. But I'm not against Jews. There are hundreds of thousands of Jews in Israel and outside Israel who stand with us for Palestinian rights and for a real democracy in the territory they call Israel and I call Palestine, where every person there, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, would live as equal citizens, each the equal of each other. One man, one woman, one vote. What's wrong with that? When Mandela was freed from the dungeons of apartheid, the whites came to him and asked him, can we have our own state, a white state, in the Orange Free State area? And Mandela answered, we don't believe in white states or black states. We believe in democratic states. One man, one woman, one vote. If it's good enough for post-apartheid South Africa, why isn't it good enough for post-apartheid Israel? So I support one state from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, called Israel-Palestine, or Palestine-Israel, in which everybody lives as equal citizens before the law, and the law is made by a democratic parliament elected, one man, one woman, one vote. What's wrong with that, brother?
There's nothing wrong with that. I just believe that when somebody tries to spin you and they try to give you spin, I believe that they're just trying to make you dizzy. So that's all I wanted to say, and thank you again for answering and taking my call.
You said it brilliantly. Thanks for that.